There it is.
Welcome, viewing audience, to another episode of Bilalian Voices in the tradition of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED. I am your host, Lorenzo El-Amin, and as always, we would like to begin by greeting as we Muslims greet. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And during this blessed month of fasting, we say Ramadan Mubarak, blessed Ramadan. We're thankful to be here with our viewing audience and our co-host and our special guest for today. Our co-host is joining us from Rochester, New York, Imam Hanif Abdul Wahid. You will hear from him soon. And our special guest for today is Imam Rafeeq Muhammad. Many of you know him as Bilalian Speaks. At this point, we're going to give a few announcements, and then we're going to get into our program for tonight. On April 5th and 6th, in the capital of the United States of America, Washington, D.C., the Ramadan sessions in the tradition of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED will commence and be led by his partner and successor, Imam Earl Abdul-Malik Muhammad. His topic for the two-day event, beginning with Jummah on Friday and concluding at Maghrib, evening prayer on Saturday. The topic will be Fundamentals of Islam in the Guided WDM Tradition, central points of reflection, emphasis, and clarification for securing the integrity of Imam W.DEEN Muhammad's teaching in a new public. For registration, please go to MuslimAmericanMinistry.com. Also, on Sunday, May 5th, Imam Earl Abdul-Malik Muhammad will be giving a major public address in the city of Detroit, Michigan. His address is entitled, Cities of America, Come Alive, Islam and the Salvation Road. You can go to MuslimAmericanMinistry.com for more information on that major public address that will be taking place in the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. Also, Imam Earl Abdul-Malik Muhammad has been invited to the city of Dallas, Texas, to give a major public address. The title of his address, Standing in the Last Days, Islam, Humanity, and an Intelligent Morality. And our final announcement, our Imam will be returning to Rochester, New York for the fourth time for an Independence Day public address on Saturday, July 6th. For more information, you can go to MuslimAmericanMinistry.com. And one other announcement that we would like to make from our episode last Thursday, we interviewed the co-host of Family Ties, The Prescription for Society. That podcast should be coming out on Monday, April 8th, at the conclusion of Ramadan. For more information, you will get more information online, Facebook, and also from this episode here of Bilalian Voices in the tradition of Imam W.DEEN Muhammad. Now, at this time, we would like to play a brief video, of our leader, Imam Earl Abdul-Malik Muhammad, speaking on the character and the work of Imam Rafeeq Muhammad.
There's a man standing here behind you. And I want people to understand what he has done for our community, for all of us. Many years ago, we came to have a relationship, a friendship. And this is when I was the Imam of in Baltimore, Maryland. And Brother Rafeeq, his commitment and loyalty to what he believed was right was very similar, if not the same, as mine. And so on that basis, we formed a friendship. And it developed over time, over years, into a stronger relationship that had more components in it. Trust, working together, cooperating with one another. And then at a point, he after Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED passed away, he was probably the first person who really confronted me with what he believed was my responsibility, my obligation to accept leadership for our community. So when people say that I'm making this claim on my own, that, like lightning strike or something hit me, and I all of a sudden make this declaration. That's not true. Yes, brothers like Rafeeq came to me independently and said, in one way or another, you have to accept this responsibility. Okay, he was probably the first one to do that. Not that others weren't having the same feeling at the same time, but proximity to him, to me, his proximity to me physically enabled him to confront me with that. And maybe others were shy of confronting me with it. I know you had that feeling too, and others too. So in those discussions, I said, okay, let me think about this. But in the meantime, I tell you what we can do and what I would like for you to do. I said to him, we need to protect the treasure of our community, and that is Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED's teaching. We need to identify it wherever it is and archive it, collect it, and then make it available to our people without restrictions. And he didn't wait, but it seemed almost before I finished the statement to him, he was on the job. He was on the job, and he did it with a laser focus and determination to get everything that was available. And he did it with such honor and with such integrity that people began to trust him and bring things to him because they knew that he was going to preserve those things. And he was going to do it in the interest of making sure that our people stay enlightened. And this is the great treasure. He didn't bury the treasure. He made it available. He made all the rubies and diamonds and gold and silver and precious things there, all of it available to our people. And he defended it. And I read recently where one imam in Atlanta and his business partner attacked Rafeeq for presenting what Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED said about something, and then wanted to ridicule him by saying, we don't see you, brother. This is what I wanted to say to those ignorant people. You see him in his works. Everything that you look at for information to make your khutbah sound legitimate in terms of a reference to Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED's leadership, most likely you got it from something that he preserved for you, you ignorant bastard. One said, you think you have all the light. I know this man. This man is a man of humility. He thinks nothing of having all the light. What human being think they have all the light? Statement of ignorance and prideful arrogance. And this is the condition that our people are under. And I have no fear to address it. I have delayed addressing some of these things. But as the situation becomes more critical and severe, and as people continue to trade in lies and misguidance and misrepresentation of Imam W. Muhammad's teaching. I even saw somebody put up something recently that suggested that the Imam said we should never have a leader. Took it all out of context. And the Imam was referring to Muhammad the Prophet, that we should never have a leader that is not consciously associating themselves with Muhammad. That's what he was saying, okay? But this person was presented as if any claim to leadership is not a legitimate claim according to the Imam's teaching. So these are the kind of people that, rhetorically speaking, not literally, I don't mean this statement I'm gonna make literally, I mean it rhetorically, need to disappear, okay? They need to be muzzled, and their influence needs to disappear, because their interest is to confuse us and to confuse or to misrepresent what is clear. And so here's a man who has devoted really his life to making certain that our people have direct and unfettered access to Imam W.DEEN Muhammad's teaching from the time he became leader until the time he passed away. More than any of the others. He doesn't put his name on. Most people didn't even know who he was. They just saw Bilalian speaks. That's what they saw. They didn't see his face. His identity was not even concerned. He didn't want his identity out there. He wasn't trying to make money or have some scheme to make it look like he was a librarian or something, you know. Pay me and I'll put these things in the proper place, you know, that kind of thing, you know. He wasn't doing that. He wasn't looking for any commercial. He didn't have any commercial intentions or aspirations with this. It was purely to serve the interests of our people, staying enlightened and in focus. And so I wanted to not just acknowledge him, but also to speak about his importance. And because he's in Atlanta, and we'll be visiting there soon, very soon. And so he's a very important and special assistant to us, and a servant of our people, and a protector, defender of our treasure.
And joining us tonight is Imam Rafeeq Muhammad. That was very high praise and compelling respect from our leader, Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad, successor to Imam W.DEEN Muhammad. I'd have to ask you, brother, in light of what we just heard, we're going to have a lot of questions for you tonight, but just sort of frame for us what the Imam was talking about in terms of the depth and breadth of all of the literature, all of the materials that Imam W.DEEN Muhammad has had from the time he was starting to be recorded until his passing. It is our understanding that you have preserved a great deal of that. Could you let us know how?
It's quite a bit. But you have to know that every time Imam W.DEEN Muhammad spoke, it was recorded. Even when he had private conversations with people, they were recorded. So just imagine, every single time he spoke, he wanted to record it. And there's several parts of the record. When I say the record, I'm talking about lectures where Imam W. Muhammad is recorded saying this, that when he's speaking, it always should be recorded. And so from 1975 until 2008, there's a whole lot of material out there that was at risk of being lost if we didn't take the actions that were taken to try to preserve a lot of it before it was too late.
So let me understand this, Imam. You launched Bilalian Speaks in an effort to get this material out and to get folks to understand that you are vouchsafing these materials. Did you have a lot of people contact you to
Well, I'll tell you how
ask?
it started from really the first time I met. Well, I had met Imam W.DEEN Mohammed before we had this conversation, but this was early on when he was the Imam in Baltimore. And one of the first conversations we had, it was after he did Jummah, and he was going out the door, and I went over to talk to him. This is like maybe around the first time I spoke with him. He's young. I'm really, really young, and kind of still brand new because I took Shahada in 1991. I was only 21 years old.
Mhm.
So this is around that time. I might be maybe like 25. So I'm still new and just learning and trying to find out who Imam W. Muhammad is and, you know, the people that I'm associated with now in this group. So I'm still learning, but I meet him and he gave a very inspiring khutbah this day. And I told him, I said, whatever makes you stand like that, Brother Imam, I want access to that. And he said to me, he said, it's Imam W.DEEN Mohammed, and put your hand in my hand. Like he's known for saying that to more people, not just me. He said that to a lot of people. And he said, put your hand in my hand and I'll take you to him and help me help him. So from that point on, I was committed to doing that and helping him help Imam W.DEEN Mohammed reach as many of his people as possible. So that was always in the back of my mind, and it just progressed to where we could use some technology to do that.
How did you come across this treasure trove of Imam Muhammad's lectures in history?
Well, it started out, we had a bookstore in the Muslim Community Cultural Center in Baltimore. When Imam Abdul Malik Muhammad was the Imam there, I went there all the time. So it was, it used to be, it was like a lounge, and the people used to come in and sit in there and eat and stuff like that. But he said, you know, we do away with that and then make it useful for the public and turn into a bookstore. So it was natural for me, and I was working with another brother too. We wanted to have books in there that people could come in and you benefit from, that were related to who we were as Muslims, and kind of, you know, dealt with our history and our story.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, we wanted to have DVDs and CDs from Imam W.DEEN Mohammed. So we had an agreement with the Mosqueers at Wallace that we would go get maybe like $1,000 worth of CDs and DVDs, and we would have them in the bookstore. And as we sold them, we would give the money back. So that was the arrangement we had. That was the first time that I started to get things from the Imam and listen to him and study him. And, you know, my first reaction to it was valuable. So I was keeping them for myself. And this was before the Imam had passed away. So I had started to build my own collection, my own personal collection through that. Because everything that we were getting from the Mosqueers, I may get one and pay for it and hold it, pay for it and hold it, you know, that kind of thing. So that's how my collection started.
Mm-hmm.
Getting from the Mosqueers at that time, putting it in the library for the believers in Baltimore at that time.
So take us a little further. I mean, it has come now to where we have materials in our possession. They're being vouchsafed right now. You have chronicalized them. You have served as a curator over this precious treasure that we have. Where do we stand now in terms of um, having this become available one day to the general public in a way that they can access it based upon the vision that you had for it?
Well, at that time, we were always thinking about ways that we could make the materials that we received and we had studied. We wanted to make them available to everybody. And we even at the, it's like a process. So the first thing we did, I did personally, we went and bought a television. This was a television in the Muslim Community Culture Center in Baltimore. We bought this great big television and we bought a DVD player. And we would play the materials that we had and play them in the masjid on the weekends. And we would announce it and everything, and people would come in and they would listen to the imam. That didn't work because after we did it a few times and people started saying, yeah, that's a good thing to do. Somebody came in and broke the television. Believe it or not, they strange people in this community, but somebody took some pliers and they actually broke the television so we couldn't connect the DVD player to it. So I said, what's the next thing? Because that's not going to work. So it was like an evolving kind of thing. So finally we get to the imam has passed away. And I have these lectures and CDs and tapes and stuff. So when I have a conversation with the Imam W.DEEN Mohammed, and we go through the scenario he just described, like see if you can get as many as of the materials you can get and collect it, preserve it, and find ways to share it. And so I had discussions with Imam Hashim. He helped me out a lot. And when I moved to Atlanta, Hashim actually bought the first computer that I had because I really didn't have any money. So Hashim bought me a computer and sent it to me in Atlanta. And so I just was playing around with different ways to share it, and we came across YouTube. So the YouTube channel was created. I created 2 YouTube channels, and I put the first video, one of the videos that the Imam, one of his addresses he gave in Newark, which I thought was very excellent. And that was the first one in 2010. And when I went on YouTube and I was looking to see where Imam W.DEEN Mohammed was on this platform, it was nowhere to be found.
Wow.
That was one thing. They had Farrakhan all on YouTube at that time in 2010, Siraj Wahaj, all kind of any and everybody, but no videos from Imam W.DEEN Mohammed on YouTube at all. There was only one. There was a part of a lecture that he gave, and it was cloudy, and it was not clear, and it was poor quality. But I'm telling you, it was only one. And so I said, well, this is it. We're going to use this for now. And I talked to the Imam about that, and that's how we did it, because we always wanted to have our own website, our own servers, and all that kind of stuff to own it. Well, to make sure what we're giving to the people, we had control of it. But we really didn't have the resources for that, so we used YouTube at the time. And that's how it all began to where we have it now. So when people started to see the channel and they started having access to it, they started to contact me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I got in touch with Hassan Shakir in Atlanta and all the other people who were giving me collections at that time, because they saw them on YouTube and they said, wow, that's a good idea. So who is this brother? And there was whispers around, and they would get in contact with me and give me collections or give me access to collections. Then it just started to grow.
Well, the Imam spoke in the video clip. One of the things that I caught was that you did this incognito more than anything else. You came up under the radar. What was your motivations to do that? Well, was that to help you vouchsafe these materials, or
Well, first thing, I believe that there were some people in this community that did not want that to happen.
Mhm.
And it's still like that to this day. If you think about it, Imam Abdul-Malik Muhammad is the only imam in this entire community that has demanded that we have pure 100% unfettered access to Imam W.DEEN Muhammad's teachings. No imam has made that claim.
That's right.
So there's been an issue with that. And I knew at that time that people didn't want that. It's a sensitive thing. And so I didn't want people to come after me for doing it before we even got to the point where people could see benefit in it.
Right.
So I did not, but that's one reason why I didn't want my name out there. The other reason was I wasn't trying to bring any attention to myself by doing it. So people would say, oh, he's trying to make money, or he's doing this, or I didn't want anything like that. So most of it was just like, figure it out, but just benefit from what's there. But you can figure out who's doing it or whoever behind it. It didn't really matter to me. I didn't really care. But that was the main reason. I knew people didn't really want it out. Some people didn't. And I didn't want people to think that I was trying to get something from it. Just
your motives are pure, man.
yeah.
Imam Terenzo.
Imam Rafeeq, I'd like to first just begin by saying thank you. I'm one of those people who benefited tremendously from getting on YouTube, looking for information on Imam W.DEEN Mohammed to present to the community here in Cincinnati. I knew you as Bilalian Speaks before I met you personally. So I just want to say thank you for the work that you have done. And I want to point something out that was noted in the video. First, for the viewing audience, that video was over 2 years ago. That was during the pandemic. Second, I'd like you to address Imam Earl Abdul-Malik Muhammad said you was one of the first persons to come to him to request him to fulfill the responsibility that you felt that Imam W.DEEN Mohammed prepared him for and authorized him to do. What was the circumstances during that time for you to come to that conclusion that Imam Earl Abdul-Malik Muhammad is the next leader?
Well, most of it from me was mainly two things. One, because I know him and I am close to him and was close to him in proximity where I saw him and would spend time with him. And I saw him as the imam in Baltimore. I saw the work that he had done. I knew that he was responsible for getting Imam W.DEEN Mohammed to Rome. I knew about the time when he became the representative of Imam W.DEEN Mohammed that the imam's office didn't have any money. There was no resources there. And the imam was already 20 years in.
Right.
And most of the people just, it was like I don't want to say stagnated period before Imam Abdul-Malik came, but I saw the successes that Imam W.DEEN Mohammed began to have with him and with his assistance and with his help. Also, I had access to a lot of Imam W.DEEN Muhammad's addresses that I listened to and saw and heard and was able to be influenced by what Imam W.DEEN Mohammed said about him. So it wasn't really, I knew what I believed that Imam W.DEEN Mohammed wanted him to be the next leader. And when I came into the community, there was a lot of people who knew that, who were saying that. It was not a secret. If you knew Imam Abdul-Malik Muhammad then, you knew him because you were involved in the work, because that's what he was doing. That's how you got to know him. So everybody who was around at that time that was working for the interests of Imam W.DEEN Muhammad in the community, they knew him. And it was, I'm young coming in, and this is what everybody was saying. And it was like, I could see the reasons why, because I was close enough to see up close, So I just said to him that, I would just talk to him. We would have conversation. I would say, brother, you thinking about doing some public addresses or something, you just can't just not do nothing, you have to. So he said, no, I don't want to do it. I don't have an interest in doing it. These people will hurt you. And it was a sensitive thing for him. And I knew it. And I knew that if he did decide to do it, you know, the situation that he would put himself in. But I always knew that that he was qualified to do it, he could do it, and Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED would probably want him to do it.
Let me ask you this. What was the time frame for these discussions? Just to help the viewing audience.
It was over a period of time because, you know, I've never not known Imam Abdul Malik as the next leader, personally myself. Because like I said, when I came into the community around that time and I started to be around and they invited me to be in that circle with them, that's what everybody was saying. And I was seeing like everywhere Imam Abdul Malik would go and speak, I would probably be around there or be there myself. So I saw the work up close and personal. So, you know, I knew it. It was just something that I knew. And so over a period of time, we would get together or he would be with his family and I would join him. And it would be like just conversations.
My next question for you, before we pass it to our Imam Waheed. The story almost seems astonishing. Could you share with us, how did you come into the bulk of the tapes once you moved to Atlanta? Wow. Imam W.DEEN Mohammed's archive. How did you come into this trove of information?
Imam Abdul Malik Muhammad he has a lot to do with it because he let me know where the collections were. And so once I figured that out, once I knew that, how Imam W.DEEN Mohammed had his materials being recorded around the country. So the way it goes is Taqwa Productions recorded everything that Imam W.DEEN Mohammed spoke, said, did in the southern region. Mm-hmm. So in their collection, they had Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, anything in the southern region, they recorded it. So they had the whole southern region in their collection. There was a brother in New York, New Jersey, Armaya Newman, who had a lot of New York, New Jersey, Philly, DC, right. Baltimore. So, you know, people had different things in different parts of the country. So Imam Abdul Malik told me about Armaya, and then we know about Miriam T in the North and what she had, Detroit, Chicago, everything in that area. And so, and then you have Beta Cal out west, California, they have everything out west. And so that's where the collections were. So once I got in touch, once I started putting stuff on YouTube, I was contacted by this brother named Torre from Washington, D.C. And he told me that Hassan Shakir of Taqwa Productions was trying to reach out to me. He wanted to know who I was, and he wanted to see if I can help him because he saw that I had digitized some VHS tapes that he was familiar with. And he told me, he said, I have a whole room full of VHS tapes that need to be preserved and digitized, and I can't do it because Hassan is kind of up in age. So he said, I need some help. Can you help me, brother? And so the first arrangement was we were going to do them by mail. He was going to mail them to me, mail me the tapes. I would digitize them and mail them back. So when I went to Atlanta and I saw the volume of what they had in this room that was in the back of the masjid, I told him, I said, I'm just going to commit to moving down here and we'll get it done. And that's how I found the first one was Taqwa Productions. And so we have everything that Taqwa produced and recorded for the Imam in the whole southern region. That was the first major collection I got. And the way I did it was I would go to the masjid at night after Isha, and I would stay in the masjid all night until Fajr. And then I would leave and go home and sleep and come back and do the same thing every single night until I digitized every single tape that they had in that room in the back of the masjid. And once I finished, I left.
Well,
let me ask you this. Was you given permission? Was this, I mean, how did this go about? I mean, was it friendly that people wanted you to do that?
I don't think so. And I did it. I didn't know for sure, but I was hesitant. You know, I didn't want to take no chances. Like I said, I had bad experiences with people in the community when it came to lectures of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED and people having access to them. Even though this stuff was back there, it was covered up with a black curtain. So I guarantee you, most people in the masjid didn't even know it was back there, because it was the way it was tripped out, the way it was in the masjid, that you had to go into a room and then behind another door, and then it was a black curtain over it, like a mausoleum or something. And you pull the curtain back and then you see all the tapes in this room. So I said, well, when I looked at it, I said, I don't know if just trying to do this and people knowing that I'm doing it, it may cause a stir or may cause a problem. And so I just did it quietly, just to make sure I could do it and get what we needed to get and preserve it. And then whatever happened after that just happened. As it turned out, when they found out that I had done it, they threw Taqwa Productions out of the masjid. Just for the record, they got rid of them. And all of the tapes and everything that was back there, it was out.
Wow.
Yeah, so it turned out that we did preserve it just in time, because when they found out about it, they got rid of them. They said, take tapes, everything out.
It sounds a little clandestine, but it sounds like, in the history of Islam during the Crusades, the leader Saladin, who was a doctor, he would fight the folks in the daytime and at night sneak over the enemy lines and treat the people. It sounds similar in terms of what you're doing. But I've got to ask this question here because it's in the chat, and we want to get your take on this here. It says, why did all of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED's videos eventually get taken down from YouTube?
Well, it was a flag from the mosqueers, who had never had any issue with anything that I had done for years. Like I said, I started in 2010, and when I put Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED on YouTube and established those channels, there were no channels. Not even the mosqueers had a channel.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you go to the mosqueers channel now, you'll see some of the videos that I digitized because I put a watermark in them. So I can identify my own work because I put watermarks in them. That has a little logo, says Taqwa. So any video you see digitized with that little Taqwa logo, I did that myself. Mm-hmm. So I know that they took some things from that and put it on their own channel. But it seems to me that they had a big issue with me using the platform and the channel to promote Imam Abdul-Malik Muhammad. So they flagged the channel. And at the point when they flagged the channel, it was a total of almost 1.5 million clips viewed between the two channels.
Wow.
Before they took it down.
Wow.
But that's what happened. They flagged it. They said it was copyright infringement, and YouTube doesn't really ask any questions. You get flagged 3 times, they shut your channel down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened.
Wow. So we have to, what is the plan to get back and have this launch once again?
Well, it was always a plan to have a website. I just didn't have the resources to do it. That was the original plan.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube was maybe like a shortcut,
right,
to get the results, but without having you invest a whole bunch of resources in getting those results. So now the situation is different, and I have a little bit of resources I can throw at it. And so the website is going to be developed, and it'll be available soon. And everybody will have access to most of everything that we have.
And you'll have a way for us to make a contribution to it to make sure that happens, right? The
yes,
community.
Sir.
Yes. Praises be to Allah.
Yeah, put it on your phone and
listen
to Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED all day, every day if you like.
So your backstory of accepting Islam when you were 21 years old, who witnessed that for you? You sound like an individual that we heard last week in class that came to the mosque and was looking for Islam and somehow couldn't find it.
Yes.
But what is your story?
Rough journey, brother. These people in this community, it's a rough journey. So I had the benefit of working with a couple of brothers that were Muslims. A brother named Tufail in Washington, D.C., and a brother named Yusuf in Washington, D.C. And I met them because I used to work with my father. When I was like 18, I got a job with my father as a mail handler. And we would work around this machine every night. And so when I would come in, I would get my space on the machine. They would work around me all night, like a strategy. Like one would be on this side, the other one would be on this side. And they would talk to me all night long. So I guess they saw in me a reception for Islam, which probably came from my mother before that. And once they gave me a Quran, I had already, pretty much knew that's what I was going to do anyway, because of my upbringing. And so it didn't take me long after that.
Mm-hmm. Praise be to Allah.
Tufail was the one that took me to the masjid, and I took Shahada in 91 in November.
So that's a great story. And so you said that you met the successor to Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED, Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad in Baltimore at
Right
the masjid.
Yeah,
right.
After that, when I was looking to do something different, once I became Muslim, I didn't like being a mail handler, and I didn't see a future for myself doing that. Even though I was, as a young person, I was making decent money, but I just wanted to do something better, more, better myself or whatever. So I went to this technical college in Baltimore around the age of 22 or something like that, 23. And that's how I ended up in Baltimore. And I went to the place where the temple number 6 was. And the scene there was just not what I would expect it to be, what I expected it to be. So through my interaction with those people, I figured out that there's another place in Baltimore for me to go while I'm going to school up there. And that was the Muslim Community Culture Center. And then I go in there and then I meet Imam Abdul Malik Muhammad around that time.
What is the special what is the special thing that you've seen in Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad as he was assistant to Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED that stood out mainly for you?
Well, the main thing was like he said, the first conversation we had, that the willingness to help me get to what we believed at that time was teachings that would help me manage my life better without being an intermediary or like we have now, where these people are charging for classes and saying, well, if you want me to teach you Imam W. Muhammad, come to my class and pay me $1,500. And and at that time, it would irritate me. One of the things I would see the imams were doing, they would say, they would always say, oh, these are Imam W.DEEN Muhammad's teachings. Let me tell you about the teaching of Imam W. Muhammad. This is his teaching. Let me tell you, this is what the Imam said. This was the big thing then. And when I met him, it was nothing like that.
Right.
He was like, I'll take you right to him. You don't need me to get to him. You need to get to him, not me. Right. And I thought that, to me, he was a giant in my eyes.
Yeah.
From that point on, he was my man. So that was the main thing that I saw. The same willingness that Imam W. Muhammad had. It was not a thing about, it was just more about him helping the people. And that's what I saw in Imam Abdul Malik Muhammad more than anything else. Sacrifice everything. Yeah. And I saw it.
Yeah, that's the recollection that most of Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad's followers and supporters know of him. This willingness to work hard and to make a thing happen. Even when he was with Imam W.DEEN Muhammad, I could recall that things were sort of thin. It wasn't a whole lot of resources to get all across the country and to get the imam's message out. But he found a way to basically do that, and he covered a lot of territory in the United States. And this is one of the reasons that a lot of these places that have our mark on it, he's determined to go back to those places and check on those places and make sure that folks that are there, once they hear him, they'll know that Imam Muhammad is still living amongst us. But there's been this effort to try to silence him, and folks like yourself and Imam Terenzo with Bilalian Voices here, we're getting that message out, and folks are really starting to take a hold of it, and you see the spirit in our community starting to come back again, so we are glad that you took the effort and continues the effort to safeguard these materials.
I would ask them, when did Imam W. Muhammad need Imam Abdul Malik to be somewhere and he wasn't there?
Right.
Never. When did they ever see Imam Abdul Malik Muhammad advertising himself in the Muslim Journal? Never. When did they ever see him sell tapes and CDs, his own tapes and CDs to the people? Never.
Right.
So, like I said, giant in my eyes.
Yeah.
It was only to help the people get to a place of dignity and receive what we believe God chose for our lives. That's all he wanted.
And he's still doing that today.
Still doing it, committed to it.
Yes.
Imam
Terenzo. Go ahead.
I had the pleasure last year, and I know it was a great pleasure for you and your wife to see your oldest daughter take the Shahadatain at the Ramadan sessions. And what we want to do, we want to play the Ramadan session promo, and then on the other side, talk about the Ramadan sessions and your daughter, your oldest daughter, taking her declaration of faith.
And I don't care how much freedom we have been given and how good things look, on the whole, most white people still have that same spirit when it comes to us.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They accept your rights, but please, stay to yourselves.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that's exactly what we should do.
Yes. Yes, sir.
More so at this time than any other time in our history of thousands of years. In Africa and in America, now is the time for us to stay to ourselves and build a model society. And answer God's invitation that he extended to the Islamic world. Let there come out of you a community upholding the best of what I have revealed and given to you in Muhammad. And not being afraid of the criticism of any criticizer. That's Quran. Yes. You will be the ones, that will be successful. All right. Well, I say the covenant have lost its bearers. And we are picking it up. We're going to carry the covenant. Yes, we're going to carry the covenant of God here in America, and we're going to establish a people and a community inside of this United States of America that will be a witness, that will be a testimony, that will be a witness before all the nations of the world that a marvelous thing has been done by God here in the United States of America. And I'm telling you that our model will have more power to convert the world to Islam than anything they ever had going for them other than Muhammad himself and the best of his followers at that time. Yes, yes. So don't doubt.
I believe that this movement in the soul of the African American people is parallel to the establishment of God's covenant with Muhammad the Prophet. And if that's true, if I'm right about that, then that places our leadership in the category of what Prophet Muhammad predicted. That there would be a personification, a material establishment with leadership that would be the embodiment of moral conscience and the role of guidance. Now that has a name in Islam. It has a name. I won't say what the name is, but it has a name. There's a reference, a clear reference, the personification of guidance, the movement of guidance.
No, we can't wait.
Rafeeq,
Mhm.
could you speak towards seeing your daughter take the declaration of faith at the Ramadan sessions? Could you speak for you and your wife on that experience?
Wonderful, wonderful occasion, brother. I was deeply touched, but I wasn't surprised because my daughter had been listening to Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad since she was born. And I remember when, shortly after she was born, she may have been like 1 or 2 years old, we took her to hear him in North Carolina. So she's been listening to him her whole life. And I think she was sending us a message and sending the whole community a message that for her and for her life and what she wants moving forward in terms of what Al-Islam will represent for her in the future will be behind Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad. I think that's what she was telling all of us.
Wow. Imam, I've got to ask you this question, and I posed this question, posing the class on Sunday to ask the Imam, where Allah says in the Quran that He will raise us on the day with our Imams. And we've asked the Imam to comment on that, and hopefully he'll come back Sunday with that. But just as a believer and a firm follower of the Quran, what does that statement say to you?
Which statement? The Ramadan session statement?
Notice statement in the Quran where Allah says on the day He's going to raise us with our Imams, and we will have our deeds in our right hand. I'm just paraphrasing it, but it's in the Quran, the day that we're going to be raised with our leader.
Well, it's the importance of leadership. You can't have, you can't really have Al-Islam without having leadership. It's interwoven into the religion.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that that's a subject that we have to have, because I've been having this discussion with Imam Terenzo, is that folks are challenging us about following our leader, and we never get the opportunity to ask them, say, well, who is your leader? And if you don't have one, according to the Prophet, peace be upon him, he says, if you die without a leader, it's like you've lived as a pagan.
It's the responsibility of supporting the leader. And
Yeah.
a lot of our people don't want that. They don't want the responsibility, what it takes to actually support a leader and make progress. And so they dismiss it altogether. So it doesn't put any, doesn't strain them to do anything. You can just go to the masjid and make salat and go home and,
Well, I'd be interested to see that. I don't believe that Allah is saying the imam at the masjid that you're following that has to lock up the door at night and open it up for Juma. I don't know if he's talking about that imam, but the basis of what Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad told us on Sunday, he says, I'm just going to give you the base reference of it. He says, when you look at Prophet Ibrahim, what Allah promised him, that from him is going to become many leaders, imams. And so imam is a term, as you're saying, at least I believe in, is that it's the greatest form of leadership when you're trying to do something big and large, like how we're trying to do, remake the world. I think you're going to be raised with a person like that versus somebody that has a masjid in Valdosta, Georgia. So I'd be interested to see that this week. But once again, we'll catch that on tape, and that'll be something else that we can guard and get out there to the general public, because I'm excited that we do have that same guided tradition being followed by the successor of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED through Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad, teaching us logic and reasoning and advancing what we're to put in the society. And I want to make this one other statement too, because I know we're getting close to closing.
that went by fast.
We're going into like the 17th day of Ramadan, and it's always tough for me. I don't know how it is for you all. I think you all are a little bit more saintly than I am, but I struggle a lot of times with trying to read the juice each and every day, But I did decide that I was going to try to read it through the eyes or through the lens of the folks that are suffering currently right now, and that's the Palestinian folks and people. Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad is possibly the only leader that I know. The rest of our leaders, if they claim to be that, they've been silent on this matter. He has somewhat breathed, sleep, and he has this constantly on his mind. And his language, which tells us to respect and look at the determination and the struggle in the Palestinian people. If we read the Quran through that lens, I think a lot of the stuff is going to become clearer to us, because the Quran is supposed to be that which frees us and liberates us from our oppressors. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Imam Rafeeq,
Mhm.
before we conclude, I would be remiss if I didn't make this connection. You gave me strength by using the words Bilalian speaks. You kept that in the atmosphere. As you know, our program, Bilalian Voices, sometimes in my head, I say Bilalian speaks, and I said, got to correct myself, Bilalian Voices in the tradition of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED, but we know they come from the same origin. What I want to ask you, what was your intent with choosing that name for your YouTube channel, Bilalian Speaks?
Well, it was symbolic, but it was basically picking up something that Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED left for us, that I believe that was left on the ground and kicked around. The same with this flag behind my head, as you can see.
Beautiful.
I had that flag painted around this, a while ago, maybe in early 2010, before I moved to Atlanta. But it was just things like that that I saw that maybe the community wasn't valuing like they should. So, you know, the symbol I used for Bilalian Speaks was the flag. So it was just getting things that I thought were not valued, not respected, like the treasures of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED, sort of disregarded, and trying to pick up as much as I could and use it, find a way to use it. That's really why I started using it.
Well, we can basically say that you're a treasure for us. We think a lot that you are with us and are helping us with the heavy lifting. Um, to have Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED stuff curated now and protected and put in having plans for it to be delivered to its rightful owners, which is us. It's our property. That is a big thing here, and I think you are entitled to a few more episodes where we could talk about some of these things. I'd like to get into some of those tapes, man. Some of the valuable ones that you have. There were some key historical type of lectures from Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED, and hopefully, we can bring those on and share them with on Bilalian Voices. The depth and breadth of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED's teachings, boy, is something that the world continues to need.
And the record of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED validates everything that we do, because
right,
that's the direction we're going. Imam Abdul Malik is not deviating.
right.
Everything is there, and he validates everything that we're doing now.
It makes sense on why some would be disturbed.
They don't want it out there, brother. I'm telling you.
They don't want that out in the public.
Well,
That's a witness against them.
well,
They have not come out and said, nobody has said that. If you're saying you the community of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED, then
yeah.
Where is it?
Well, and we have to trademark this here. I think we have. Who is speaking like this here?
That's right. Why are you charging people for W.DEEN MOHAMMED classes?
This is Imam Terenzo's rhetorical retort. Who is speaking like this here? That is something that we have to continuously ask, and it's so obvious.
In concluding, what I would like to say to Imam Rafeeq, I'm looking forward to seeing you and your family. You know, every time I see your youngest son, Amir, I just be smiling.
Me too. Me too, brother. You
Yeah,
know,
beautiful spirit.
he went to school, tried to fast, and had his friends in there trying to fast. He's a soldier, man.
That's what we need, that type of spirit of determination. Yes. So we thank you, Imam Rafeeq Muhammad, for joining us for another edition of Bilalian Voices in the tradition of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED. I enjoyed myself listening, and I will go back and listen again. And what we would like to do as we conclude, we would like to end with our announcements. On April 5th and 6th, the partner and the successor to Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED, Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad, will be leading the Ramadan sessions in the tradition of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED. I emphasize that, in the tradition of Imam W.DEEN MOHAMMED. April 5th and 6th in the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C. You can go to MuslimAmericanMinistry.com. Also, our Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad, will be returning to Detroit, Michigan on Sunday, May 5th to give a major public address entitled Cities of America, Come Alive, Islam and the Salvation Road. And on June 2nd, our leader will be visiting for the first time by request of the citizens of Dallas, Texas. He will be visiting Dallas, Texas, giving a major public address entitled Standing in the Last Days, Islam, Humanity, and Intelligent Morality. And my final announcement, on July 6th, Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad will be returning to the city of Frederick Douglass, Rochester, New York, for the fourth time for an Independence public address. For more information, you can go to MuslimAmericanMinistry.com, and also be on the lookout for our new podcast coming out called Family Ties, Prescription for Society. We will have more information in the upcoming week when that will be featured, and you'll be able to see it and listen with your own ears and eyes. Again, we thank Imam Rafeeq Muhammad for joining us. We thank our co-host, Imam Hanif Abdul Wahid, and we would like to now close out with the prayer of purification and purpose, Imam W.DEEN Muhammad's dua. O Allah, we cannot manage this life for ourselves, not without you. Please make our life what you would want it to be, what you prefer it to be. Do not allow us to act on our own. Help us to act only in obedience to you. We hear you, we obey you, and we look to you for forgiveness, our Lord. And to you is the destination. Amen. Until the next time, peace.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Yeah. You're a true soldier, brother. Yes, sir.
You too.
Yeah.